Welcome back for session number 6. This will be on oscillator principles and op-amp based oscillators. As you know, an oscillator is an amplifier with positive feedback. We have so far concentrated on negative feedback in amplifiers. If you give a positive feedback to an amplifier, it results in an oscillating system provided certain conditions are met. So, it's an electronic circuit used to generate an output signal with a constant amplitude and a constant desired frequency. It is also called a waveform generator and incorporates both active and passive elements. The primary function of an oscillator is to convert DC power into a periodic signal or AC signal at a high frequency. So ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ if you want to give a one line definition of an oscillator, you should say an oscillator is an amplifier with a positive feedback. Essentially what it does is, if some of you have done the experiment using op amps, you just give a DC supply, you don't give any AC signal, you ultimately find that the certain output waveform will be produced which is time varying AC. So converts DC energy or DC power into an AC signal of high frequency. Oscillators can be classified based on several criteria. Oscillators that produce sine wave output are known as sinusoidal oscillators. Those which produce other types of output are known as non-sinusoidal oscillators. This is one criteria. The other criteria can be the frequency of operation. If the frequency of operation lies below 20 kilohertz, then you call it as an audio oscillator. And if it exceeds 20 kilohertz, you call it as a radio frequency oscillator. There are devices like the tunnel diode in which there is something called a negative resistance region. If you increase the voltage, current actually reduces in such devices. Such a negative relaxation region can be used to produce regenerative feedback and oscillations. So you have relaxation oscillators or negative resistance oscillators. Similarly, oscillators which produce sine waves like the Colpitts oscillator and the Hartley oscillator, they make use of a tuned LC circuit. So you have tuned LC or tuned oscillators. You can also use a crystal like quartz to produce highly stable frequency, highly stable high frequency oscillators, and they make use of the piezoelectric effect. They are called as crystal oscillators. So essentially an oscillator has two things, a amplifier circuit and a feedback network. Now there is some mathematics we want to look at. The same mathematics you can use for negative feedback amplifiers also. We are trying essentially to arrive at a condition for sustained oscillations. So I am assuming that a sinusoidal input signal Vs is applied. At the input, this is with feedback. Since the amplifier is non-inverting, the output signal V0 is in phase with Vs. A feedback network feeds a part of V0 into the input, and the amount depends upon the feedback coefficient beta or network gain beta. No phase shift is introduced by the feedback network. Hence, the feedback voltage Vf is in phase with the applied voltage Vs. In such a case, it is called as positive feedback. So, if you have open loop gain of the amplifier, which is the ratio of the output voltage to the input voltage as A, then A is equal to V0 by Vi. We have usually called it as AV in our previous discussions. By considering the effect of feedback, the ratio of the net output voltage V0 and the input supply voltage Vs is called the closed loop gain AF, that is gain with feedback. AF is V naught by Vs. Since the feedback is positive, the input voltage Vi becomes Vs plus Vf. Depending upon the feedback gain beta or the feedback fraction beta, Vf is simply beta V naught. If you substitute in the equation, Vi is equal to Vs plus beta V naught. Therefore, Vs is equal to Vi minus beta V naught. Therefore, the gain AF becomes V naught by Vi minus beta V naught. If you divide the denominator and numerator by Vi, you get AF is equal to V naught by Vi into 1 minus beta V naught by Vi. AF therefore becomes A divided by 1 minus A beta, since A is equal to V naught by Vi. Workout ಮಾಡಿ ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು simple ಆಗಿದೆ. Where AB is the loop gain. If A beta is equal to 1, then we find that AF becomes infinity. So from the above expression, it is clear that even without the external input Vs, the circuit can generate the output by just feeding a part of the output as its own input. And also, the closed loop gain increases with increase in the amount of feedback gain beta. The oscillation rate of frequency or oscillation rate or frequency depends on the amplifier or the feedback network or both. That is a matter of design. Usually in the oscillators that we have discussed, the feedback network also determines the frequency. Now, what is the condition for stable oscillations? Stable oscillations are produced when two conditions are met. As you saw above, the gain AF is equal to A divided by 1 minus A beta. So this mod A beta should be equal to 1. This is the condition. The loop gain A beta, we should be unity, that beta is called the feedback ratio. If A beta becomes 1, you find that AF becomes infinity in the above equation. So the first condition to be met is that mod A beta is equal to 1, and the second thing is the phase shift around the loop should be 0 or an integral multiple of 2 pi. Either you don't have any phase shift at all between the input and the output, or you have a 360-degree phase shift and a multiple of that. Okay. So this is the essential condition known as the Barkhausen condition, a very frequently appearing question in the examination. What is the Barkhausen condition? They will ask. You have to say gain with feedback for an amplifier AF is A by 1 minus A beta, where A beta is called the loop gain. According to Barkhausen condition, mod A beta should be equal to 0. And secondly, the phase difference around the loop should be 0 or an integral multiple of 360. Now, operational amplifiers are very popular in terms of serving as devices for constructing oscillators, particularly RC oscillators. So we have one RC oscillator here, which is the phase shift oscillator. The phase shift oscillator, as you can see here, makes use of 3 RC networks. As you know, if you use an ideal capacitor, then each RC network can produce a phase difference of 90. Alva? Because when a current flows through a capacitor, it is 180-degree out of phase with the voltage. So actually phase shift of 90 can be produced by each such RC network, but arrange it in such a way that 3 RC networks are used. So these 3 RC combinations provide the feedback. As you can see, they are feeding into the negative terminal. They also determine the gain. So the amplifier produces a 180-degree phase shift. The feedback network produces another 180-degree phase shift. So the phase shift here between the input and the output is 360 degrees. Calculations show that the feedback fraction beta becomes 1 by 29. Therefore, this amplifier that you are finding here should have a gain of 29 for the fraction 1 minus A beta to become 0. So the amplifier needs to have a 29 gain, RF by Ri. Since there is no external input to produce oscillations, what happens usually is once you build a circuit and you switch on the power supply, some stray currents will flow, instantaneous currents will flow through these components, and they set up a noise voltage. This noise voltage actually gets amplified by the amplifier, but because these noise voltages are able to actually set a frequency of oscillation, repeatedly when these get amplified, fed back and amplified, fed back, the frequency that is selected by this network will actually get repeatedly amplified, and ultimately when the gain becomes equal to 29, that frequency of oscillation is starting to get stably reproduced. In other words, you have an oscillation of a frequency set by this network. And calculations show that when stable sinusoidal voltage is obtained, the gain will be 29, feedback ratio will be 1 by 29, and the frequency of oscillation for this oscillator will be 1 by 2 pi root 6 RC. You need not calculate, so remember the expression and write the expression. If you look at what are the advantages and disadvantages of the RC oscillator, it's a very simple circuit, as we can see. Produces pure sinusoidal output in the audio range. You can change the frequency by changing the R and C components, but here you have to change each pair of R and C components, so it's a cumbersome process. So more often you find that the RC phase shift oscillator is used as a single frequency oscillator. One of the disadvantages of the RC oscillator as well. Stability not very high, very good. Applications. This RC oscillator is used in electronic musical equipment, instruments, testing circuits, GPS modules, etc. GPS is Global Positioning System. Then we come to the Wien-Bridge oscillator. As you can see, this Wien-Bridge oscillator makes use of a bridge network here. R3 and R4 together are used to provide the gain ratio for the amplifier. Therefore, this is a voltage divider network, provides the necessary gain. As you can see, it is connected one end to the negative terminal, the other is grounded. It acts like the R1 and the RF that you commonly used to see in your non-inverting configuration. The C1 R1 and C2 R2, this is known as a lead lag network. The output of this lead lag network you see is connected to the positive here. The other end is connected to the output. So this is the portion that is being fed back. As you can see, this is a circuit in which the input is directly given to the non-inverting terminal, so there is no phase shift produced. But this ratio RF by R3 provides the gain for the amplifier, and in this circuit, if you calculate, it turns out that the feedback ratio is 1/3, so the gain of the amplifier should be equal to 3 to satisfy the Barkhausen condition, and that is established by this ratio R4 by R3. This forms a lead lag network at a particular frequency range. C1 this part of the circuit will be leading, in the other part of the circuit will lead. You don't have to worry about it. We will simply say this lead lag network provides the necessary feedback and also sets up the ratio, feedback ratio, which is actually 1/3. When the bridge is balanced, obviously there is no input to the circuit, so there is no output. Therefore, this bridge is made slightly unbalanced. Therefore, it produces an output leading in, it can give an input leading to an output being produced. This positive feedback initially is more, leading to the starting of oscillations, and later, as I told you, some noise voltages, random voltages set up in the circuit, they repeatedly get amplified, fed back, amplified, fed back. Because these circuits have selectivity, they tend to amplify the signal or the output frequency that they are establishing because of their values. Ultimately, when the system stabilizes because of the negative feedback that you are given, and the gain becomes 3, the frequency set up by this network, this lead lag network, it is at that frequency that the system begins to oscillate. And the calculations show that the frequency of oscillations is 2 pi 1 over 2 pi R1 C1 R2 C2. And if you make R1 C1 R1 equals R2 and C1 equals C2, then you end up with an equation F is equal to 1 over 2 pi R C. The Wien-Bridge oscillator produces high frequency, stable, sinusoidal oscillations. So, this is briefly about the oscillators and the principles. ಈ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಸಿಲೇಟರ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ನಾನು ಲೂಪ್ ಗೇನ್ ಒಂದು ಈಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಹಾಕಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಲ್ಲ, ಸರ್ಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ದ ಸೈನ್, ಇಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ amplifier with negative feedback, in which case you get the final equation as AF is equal to A divided by 1 plus A beta, which will obviously then show you that the gain will reduce in the case of negative feedback. So this is as far as the oscillators are concerned. With this we come to the end of the discussion on op-amps. We can work out some problems that we will see in the next session. In the meantime, what we can do is a few additional 2 marks questions we can have a look at from the portions on oscillators plus feedback. Now, what are some of those questions? Some of the questions are like this: distinguish between narrow band and wide band filters. Particularly, the question of narrow band, wide band comes when you talk of the band pass filter. In band pass filters, you know that there is something called a central frequency, the frequency at which the gain will be maximum. This central frequency Fr is given by the product square root of, Fh by, this gain is Fh by Fl, and the ratio Fr by Fh minus Fl defines the quality factor Q of the circuit. If the Q of the circuit tends to be greater than 10, you end up getting a wide band filter in which there is a huge band of frequencies over which the gain is constant. If the Q factor is less than 10, it ends in a narrow band filter. As I told you last time, you end up with narrow band filters, particularly if you just don't use the second op-amp, second active element. Next question is, what is an ideal low pass filter? You know, for an ideal low pass filter or ideal high pass filter, the expectation is this: that in a low pass filter, for example, as you know, it passes all frequencies lower than the cutoff. Once you reach a cutoff, no other frequency should be amplified. No other frequency should be passed. If that criteria is satisfied, then it is an ideal low pass filter. At the cutoff frequency, sharply the pass band ends. Such a thing is an ideal filter. You don't get an ideal filter. The same principle applies to the high pass filter also. Any high pass filter is one which allows all frequencies above the cutoff, but up to cutoff frequency, it should pass nothing. Then it's an ideal high pass filter. We unfortunately don't have ideal filters. So, can a capacitor be used as a filter? This could be a question for the examination as well. As you can see, or as you have seen earlier, the filter circuits make use of a reactive element, which means its opposition to current depends on frequency. Capacitor is an element whose reactance is 1 by 2 pi Fc. So it depends on frequency. Therefore, a capacitor can easily be used as either a high pass filter or a low pass filter. If you want to use it as a low pass filter, then it becomes a low pass filter for higher frequencies. For a low pass filter, then it should be used in blocking the low frequencies. So it can be used as a filter. Next question is, why is it difficult to maintain the Barkhausen condition for oscillations? Now the Barkhausen condition is mod A beta equal to 1, that is loop gain equal to 1. In this expression, you find that the open loop gain A and the feedback fraction beta are both involved. A as well as beta are both temperature dependent. Their values can change not just due to temperature, but also aging of components and also changes in supply voltage. Therefore, in an oscillator, it is difficult to maintain the condition A beta is equal to 1. Next, is an oscillator also an amplifier? A very good question. You can expect this in the examination. The answer is a resounding yes. An oscillator is also an amplifier, but in fact it is an amplifier with a positive feedback. So, next the Wien-Bridge oscillator uses both positive and negative feedback. Explain antiде. The Wien-Bridge oscillator uses both positive and negative feedback. As you know, to produce oscillations, you need positive feedback. That is why the lead lag network is connected to the non-inverting terminal to have zero phase shift in this case. And as you know, the feedback fraction is 1/3. Therefore, the amplifier has to have a gain of 3. And to provide this gain, you connect the R3, R4 network to the non-inverting terminal, producing a gain. This negative feedback also stabilizes the oscillations. So, Wien-Bridge oscillator uses both positive and negative feedback. So, this is where we have completed the discussion on op amps. So, please go through the recordings. If you have any doubts, you can have one live session or another session. You just post the questions. I will try to answer them. We may even try solving some question papers that will come for later. In the next section, next session, we'll solve from problems on the remaining portions on which we have not so far solved problems, that is on the oscillators and feedback networks. That will be for the next session. For now, I think we can conclude. We have discussed all the topics in the syllabus. We have answered some short answer questions. We have enough material for answering the long answer type questions also. Problems, one set we have already done on the linear circuits. Now, in the next program or the next session, we'll do problems on feedback principles and the oscillators. That should put us in a good position as far as facing the examinations go. So, we can stop here for the moment. I think I'll stop sharing. Thanks for being with me. Until we meet again, bye. Take care. Keep studying. Thank you very much.